I'm Kyle Shimoda. I'm here with a very good friend of mine, Charles Hew-Len. We've known each other for a long time, and I'm very blessed to say that Charles is a good friend of mine. Charles, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get to where you are today? I mean, I know the backstory, yet for the people that might be watching today, like tell me a little bit about how you came to be the man you are today.
Ooh. Yeah, that's like 46 years condensed in like 2 minutes.
Okay. The highlights.
Highlights. Let's see. I think that it might be a kind of a long story, but I think part of what motivates me today is my later years when I realized the challenges my mom went through. I mean, that's kind of the healing process because I was abused as a kid, like pretty badly, like stripped naked, abused, and beaten in a bathtub so that I won't bleed on the carpet, you know, and then thrown out the house naked to be shamed. So that was kind of my mom's way of raising me, and for a long time I never understood that. And part of the healing process of going through that required me to understand what was it my mom was trying to do for me. Like my dad always like, hey, your mom loves you, but as a kid, that doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean my mom loves me?
You think so? That was her way of showing love.
Later on, I realized I had a lot of trust and belief in my dad. My dad wouldn't lie to me. That's kind of what it was. My dad wouldn't lie to me. He must love me. So my mind started to try to seek the answers. At least it opened up my mind to find the answers. But for a long time, I didn't really understand. And as much as horrific as that was, my mom even tried to kill me twice. Yeah, she tried to stab me once, and then she tried to poison me while I was asleep.
Holy cow.
Yeah, full on, like committed. Like, you're like, to poison someone when you're sleeping, it's not like I'm threatening. I'm like, I'm really trying to kill you.
How old were you when this happened?
I think I was about maybe 13.
Jeez.
When it all came down.
Did you wake up and?
I woke up and my mom was like, here, drink this. And I tried to drink. I was like, something's wrong with this. And then she tried to force me to drink it. And I smelled like there was like chlorine or something in the water. Huh. And then I whacked it out of her hand, and then she snapped and she went to the bathroom. She got a scissors and tried to stab me.
Wow.
And cause she thought I stole her jewelry. Only to find out later somebody broke in the house. But she was so violent with me regularly. I mean, if I go to school and get dirt on my pants, I'm crying already because I know when I get home I'm getting beatings. You know, I can't leave the house, can't play. If I get caught playing outside with my friends, beating. So I got abused maybe at least 3 times a week.
Did you live in fear growing up?
Constant fear. It was constant fear, being controlled. Again, and I guess because my dad showed me so much love, I didn't realize it. Now, being more aware now, but back then I didn't realize it, that I was so, I had so much drive to gain love from my mom because I wasn't getting it, right? It really started to shape who I became.
So when did it switch for you, like going from living in fear to, I mean, like my experience of you now is you're not a very fearful guy.
Right.
You're almost fearless.
Right.
So when did that start to shift?
I think, well, everything came down on me. I think everything, the defining moment, if I may say, was when I went to prison.
How did you end up in prison?
I was sentenced to 8.5 years in federal prison for being a drug dealer. What I didn't realize at the time, I'm saying this consciously, but it was very unconscious at the time. What I didn't realize was that all this abuse growing up as a kid, this desire to prove my worth, like I wanted attention, I wanted love, and I wasn't getting it from my mom, and I felt this need to prove myself. And I wanted it so badly because I wasn't getting it. I was willing to do whatever it takes because I knew right from wrong, right? I was raised in my dad was Mormon family. I went to seminary school. I was
really. I was almost like the opposite.
Opposite. Yeah, I was like the ideal kid. When people look at me, they thought, man, I wish they'll tell their kid, well, why don't you be like Charles? Like I had all the makings of being this great kid, right? I always had leadership positions as a kid in church. Like I said, I was a Boy Scout, became an Eagle Scout. My dad put me in karate when I was about maybe 7, 8.
It's almost like you had the side
Came
that
back.
your dad built you up and your mom was
My,
broke you
yeah,
down.
good point. I never thought about that. My dad did everything to build me up, create this leader that was there, right? He put me everything to be a leader, to, humble, all this great personality and build my character. But I wasn't getting love, and I was being so beaten down by my mom, not only physically but emotionally, that I felt this need to prove myself. I always felt this need that I need love and I need attention because I didn't feel good enough, constantly not feel good enough. And even though at the time I knew selling drugs was wrong, at that time I'll tell you, no, I just want to succeed, I'll justify my actions. But really, deep down, unconsciously, I realized that years later, I wanted to prove. Now, even though I was an adult, I still felt this need to prove to the world of my worthiness. And to be honest, I loved it. You know what I mean? Like, after a while, you become, top of your game, and I became very successful. You walk into the nightclubs, and everybody know who I am, and you can just walk through the VIP line, and they kick people off the table so you can sit down. Like, it was very attractive to me.
How old were you when this was like at your height?
I was about 25, 26. I'm 25, 26. I'm young, right? I built the #1 record label in Hawaii at the time. I don't know if I told you. I produced the artist. His name is Pati. So we did Island Girl. So that became a huge hit. Had a nightclub right in Kalihi. You know where Dillingham Zippies? Yeah, you know where Dillingham Zippies is at?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dillingham Zippies, Kapalama Shopping Center. They renovated in the back corner. What's called Bond Cafe. It's my tattoo over here.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm living the life. I'm thinking, man, like I made it. 25, like drooling all this money. I'm in the drug business. I want to be this legitimate businessman too. Entrepreneur, yeah. I was doing both, right? And but I knew something was missing. Something was missing inside. Just didn't know what it was.
And at this point, you have children, right? At 25.
Yeah. I have 3 kids. 3 kids. They're very young. I had my first kid when I was 15. And then by the time I'm 21, I had my 3rd kid already. So when I went to prison, they were really young. I go into prison. The worst thing that ever happened to me emotionally, yet the best thing that ever happened to me. But going back to what you said, kind of that defining moment, like my whole identity started to crash. I say that now, but at the time, what I really wanted to say was, man, this life is just too hard. I'm suffering so much. The suffering was so overwhelming. I was ready to just do myself in. I really was.
Like 8 years. So what do you do in prison for 8 years?
Well, it was. So it was until my identity started crashing, right? I was losing. My wife divorced me, took the kids. My business partners screwed me.
While you're in prison?
While I'm in prison, yeah.
So you're sitting there and you're hearing about all this happening.
Everything is
outside.
crashing. Everything is crashing down, right? My supposedly friends going into my house and stealing all of my personal belongings, and there's nothing I can do, right?
Wow.
The banks realize I went to prison, and so they're draining my accounts to pay. Like somehow they're able to go into my account and grab my money because I banked with the same people that I borrowed money from. I'm not going to say their names because they're very good to me now. But they started taking my money, and my account is going down. Stuff is getting stolen. My partners are, like, I got the #1 album at the time, and I'm not getting a dime from it.
So when Island Girl came out, were you in prison?
Yeah. Like, it came out in January 2001. I went to prison in March.
Wow. So like as it's really taken off.
I
remember listening to that.
All I heard is I remember being in my bar and it came out on the radio and it went #1 and I'm like excited. Everybody in my bar around me knew that I produced the album. Everybody's like, oh, it's all exciting. We had a CD release party at Oceans. It was over here. Pipeline.
Okay,
Pipeline when it was over here where the UFC is. And then I went to prison.
Wow, that
That fast. So, yeah, all that come basically, I don't get any of that. I'm seeing everything fall apart.
And all I can do is think and
all I
talk to
can
yourself.
just be there, yeah. And you know what's the crazy thing about it is, it affected me, but I wasn't so much worried about the money. At that time, I was really trying to keep my family together.
What can you do from in there though?
I was trying to keep my wife, not because my wife. I'm not sure if I told you this. I think I might have told you. So my wife. So right before I got arrested, about 3 months, my wife and I separated, and I was having an affair.
Okay. She didn't know.
Who?
Your wife.
Well, we were separated.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she kicked me out the house. Be like, okay, I went, took my 2 daughters, came with me, and then I ended up having an affair with one of my waitresses. This goes on for a time. We reconnect, and I decide I'm going to work things out with my wife. But there's an overlap for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
During this whole time, I'm under investigation for like 9 months, right? Mm-hmm. So when I get busted, they arrest my wife, they arrest the girl, they put them in the same cell block.
Oh boy.
And that's
it's
how
like
they find
movie.
out. Yeah, right? Man. So now I'm in prison. Everybody in prison knows, like, oh man, bad enough you're in prison. Now you're the laughing stock in prison because you got your wife and your,
I'm laughing
your
now.
mistress. It's funny. At the time,
yeah.
It's not funny. At the time, I'm like, oh man, I can't believe it can't get any worse.
This is seriously like a movie.
Worse? Yeah, how can it get any worse? So they strategically do that because now they're like collaborating, right? Now they're just like,
get all the information.
Yeah. So they kind of actually told on themselves, but and that's how my wife found out.
Yikes.
And so I'm trying to keep everything together, and it doesn't. It falls apart. She ends up meeting somebody, and I file for divorce. They put me in a special housing unit. It's like solitary confinement. I'm in there for 30 days for something I didn't even do. Yeah, I guess I sold drugs, but there's some BS that happened in there that I was totally innocent. They throw me in the shoe. So I'm feeling victim, right? How can you guys do this to me? I didn't do this, though. And then right under the door, papers, divorce papers. Wow. I'm like, oh man. And she's saying she don't want nothing. The kids have nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. My son have nothing to do with me.
So you can't even represent yourself because you're.
There's nothing I could do. She took full custody. What can I do? I'm in prison. How can I even defend myself in family court to say I am capable of having or even being a father to my son? So I'm stuck. So I sign it off, and I go into this real deep depression. And this guy comes into my room every day, and food is valuable in there, right? So I'm not eating. I'm stressing out. I'm not eating. I get up. He comes to my room. I get my breakfast. I give it to him. I go back to bed. Get my lunch. Give it to him. Go back to. After several days of this, and I'm getting bad. I'm starting to hallucinate. Cold sweats, I'm getting sick. I realize later my immune system is dropping and I'm getting sick. He comes and sits down with me, and he sits down and he's like, you know what, I cannot see you go through this anymore. And he says, you gotta think about when you got married, right? Think about when you first got dated. Think about when your son was born. On all these thoughts I was trying to fight off, and I break down crying. First time I broke down crying. Like, I don't think I ever remember crying that much since I was a little kid. So I realized I've held myself back from crying for so long. So I'm crying. He doesn't touch me. He does this like, no, I'm not gonna comfort you. Just cry. After a while, I stopped crying. And he's like, how do you feel? I was like, I don't know. I feel a little bit better.
Who was this guy? I mean,
actually, right. His name was Achi. And he says, okay, get dressed. I want you to get dressed. Put all your clothes. Pretend like you're gonna visit. Iron, whatever, shower. So you trust me? It's like, yeah, I trust you. I'm at this point. I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm ready to like toss in a towel already, right? And end myself. So I'm like a sitting duck. Whatever, I trust you, I'll do it. So I iron my clothes, get dressed, shower, shave, everything. I show up. He come in the room. I go in this room. He's like, he does this quick meditation with me, like visualize your legs, your neck, relax. So I'm relaxed. After a while, he's like, how do you feel? I said, man, I feel really relaxed. He's like, okay, stand up. Okay, cool, stand up. Okay, whatever. He's like, yeah, you trust me? I was like, yeah. On the count of 3, jump up and scream, I'm excited. I'm like, okay. And we go, I'm excited. And I start smiling. And I'm so happy. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? Like, I was just ready to kill myself. Now I feel like I'm the happiest I've been in years. And I'm still in prison. And I still getting a divorce. I still lost everything.
Sounds like straight out of the basic seminar.
Come to find out he was a basic grad.
Just a graduate, not even a facilitator?
No, he went through all basic, LS, 7 LS. I didn't find this out later when I come out of prison. I happened to go into basic. And I called him. I was like, hey, I went to this class.
And they did the same thing.
It did the same thing you did to me years ago when I went to prison. It's like, oh, I went to that. I was a graduate. I'm like, wow, how are the odds of that happening? Because it was at that moment when that shift happened, I went, okay, I got what just happened. If I could understand what just happened, then I thought, man, life would be amazing. No matter
shift
what.
your emotions at any time.
Yeah, it's like it didn't matter what was happening around me. It didn't matter if everything was falling apart, no matter when things are good or things are bad. It really showed me that I can feel whatever it is I want to feel.
So was that day kind of the turning point, you think?
That was the turning point. That day was when my life changed. Like that was probably the worst point in my life, and my life has never even come close to that point ever since.
Wow. So that was rock bottom.
That was rock bottom. Yeah, that was rock bottom. Yeah. Emotionally, physically, I just felt sick. Like I was constantly sick to my stomach. And I was like, man, what's going on? And I was like, I wanted to understand what was happening. He couldn't really explain to me what was happening. And so I read my first book because I never read. You can graduate from Waianae High School without reading a book, by the way.
So Waianae High School is where you went?
Yeah. And I read my very first book, and I had to carry on a dictionary for 3 years because I couldn't understand a lot of words.
Wow.
Right? So I'm carrying a dictionary, I'm like reading. And my very first book I read was the Tony Robbins Awaken the Giant.
First book.
Yeah. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like blown away. I think I found the secret to life. Like life is good, right? So I was so excited, and I'm reading these books, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna be here. I realize there's nothing I can do out there, right? I wasn't a good guy. I wasn't a good husband. I wasn't a good father. And I knew that, I tried to convince myself, and I said, even though I'm not there, there's nothing I can do. If I only have a shorter time with them, but I am the type of man that they've never experienced before. Right? If I'm a father they've never experienced before, then it will justify why I was in prison.
So at this point, when this bottom out happened, how many years in were you?
Like 2 years.
Okay, so the next 6 years were like growth.
The next 6 years, I was hungry. Like in prison, you can do whatever you like. You can wake up when you want. You got to get ready for count, right? You can do whatever. Plus, I went to a camp. So there's no barbed wires or fences. You can just walk right off.
Oh, yeah.
Not violent, right?
Yeah, this is like the white collar prison.
White collar prisons. In fact, I was locked up with Jordan Belfort. We did count every day. Like I stand up, he's like right here. Like I know Jordan, right? But this was before he did The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then his roommate was Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong.
Wow.
Yeah, so I would
So like famous people.
a bunch of famous people. We'd be sitting in TV.
It's like people you pay money to go see nowadays. You're like,
Yeah.
these are your roommates.
A lot of them. They can go on and on about different guys. We'd be watching 60 Minutes, and the guy on TV, 60 Minutes, they're doing the whole 60-minute segment show is like sitting right here, right? You see him with the president, and he's like a
So you'd
fundraiser.
be like, so is that true?
Yeah, it's like, oh, that really happened. He's like, no, that really happened. Like it was so crazy. At the end of that 60-minute segment, they said that that when he got arrested, because he's like, obviously we know he got arrested because he's here, but there is not saying on there, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of it, it says, oh yeah, and he turned government witness to shorten his time. You see him like get out of his chair and start walking out, and goes to the security and gets himself out, like because if you're considered a rat,
Yeah, it's
you're
not
not
a good
safe.
thing.
You're not a good thing. So he leaves. Like right after that show, they like pack his stuff up and they like roll him out and put him in solitary confinement.
Ooh, wow.
But my point is, this is the guys I'm around. I'm around guys who like I can sit down and I'm a doctor and lawyer and my roommate
So access to experiences and knowledge and everything, you had it right there.
that I never would have in Waianae.
Or anywhere in the world,
Oh,
like-
okay, yeah. But being from Waianae, my background, my experience, I could never meet guys like this, right? My roommate was Harvard MBA grad, GE executive, went out and started a company, used a machine they use to test your eyes. That was his first company,
Sheesh.
right? Now I'm watching him from my bunk. I'm with him for like 4 years, watching him from my bunk, looking down, and he's teaching me private placement, fundraising, and how to raise money. He's raising $20 million from his prison cell
prison.
to start his new company, and turns around, sells it, makes $40 million.
While he's still in prison.
While he's in prison, right? So I'm learning all of this stuff. And so anyway, that's really changed my life. Like I started eating healthy. Well, the biggest thing I realized, right, I tell you what's the one thing at the root of all of this is that when I saw everything crumble, and for me it's almost like death. I can imagine, I don't know I never had a near-death experience, but I can imagine it's almost like death when you're losing everything you love. I didn't think about what I got. I didn't think about the cars and the success and
things.
like, and then it dawned on me and I realized, man, if life isn't about what I got, it has to be about what I give.
What you give.
Yeah.
Which is a perfect segue, because that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Right.
So you've done very well for yourself the past few years, and you're giving back to the community that you grew up in.
Right.
So tell me, what are you doing out there on the Waianae side, on the Waianae coast?
Well, it kind of transitioned over time. At first, coming out of prison, all I just wanted was to take care of myself. And then so I bought my parents' home. That was my first property I bought, low-income housing. Right, bought my parents' home, and I actually had this idea of being this big developer. Like I wanted to be over here. You can see my building over here in Kakako, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll put in all these offers in these different areas. I learned real estate in prison, and so I'm like, okay, I learned all this stuff. I'm going to apply it, and these deals in Waianae would always come through. And I don't consider myself a very like religious person or whatever. But one day I was like, okay, God, like, so you telling me something? What's going on here? Like, how come only my deals in Waianae is going through? And something inside of me said, you know what, that's where I needed to be. And I said, okay, that's where you need to be.
Needs the most help.
So I did it, not knowing really what I was gonna do. Right? I didn't have this. Oh, I'm gonna go make an impact. And that wasn't initially what was gonna happen. I just felt this sense like, okay, that's where I need to be. And then it kind of grew into as I started acquiring more properties and putting like low-income families in these homes and Section 8 families and housing, and I was like, wow, I'm really making a difference. And so it went from just housing families to acquiring buildings, commercial buildings, and bringing in the newest tenants or people into, Waianae has always been considered like the bastard child of Oahu. Right? Maybe I said it, but really that's what it's always kind of been.
No one would say that, however, I think other people think it.
Yeah, no, they think that, right? I'm just willing to say it, that's all. Yeah. But Waianae is considered the bastard child. It's almost like I go on Waianae, and it's such you get that whole idea behind Waianae, and there's a lot of people who dislike it, and I realized I disliked it for a long time. But then I'm like, man, I might as well do something about it. Like, why not do something about it? Instead of just sit on the sidelines and just point fingers and complain about it. And so it was about maybe 4 years ago I realized that, you know what, I was gonna, not only that's what I was gonna do, I felt like that was what I was meant to do.
So we're talking about, setting goals and, just visualization and vision boards. And you had mentioned, right. And I love the idea that you used a digital picture frame right. to do your vision board. And now right. you've progressed to this mind movie. Yeah. Tell me about you had this digital vision board on this digital frame.
Right.
What did you see in there that kind of led you to some of the philanthropic things you're doing out there?
Oh, okay, yeah, got it. So, so I do, I did the whole vision board thing. We've done that, right? Thrown on the wall and did that. And I want to make my vision board more interactive, something that I can see, something more real, as opposed to like a 3-year-old crayon picture on the wall.
Cut out of a magazine.
Yeah. So I put it on there, and I knew I wanted to make a difference, and so I put some on these pictures. What had happened was, I created that as my vision board last year, in the beginning of 2018. And it was on my birthday.
I remember that.
It was my birthday. It was my birthday, and I said, okay, what am I? Life has been very good. And I woke up that day, and I was like, okay, what do I want today? And I said, I just wanted 2 things. I wanted a Christmas tree, because I haven't celebrated Christmas in a while. Like the whole Christmas tree thing. I celebrate Christmas, it's not the whole traditional with the tree. And I was going to be open to whatever opportunity presents itself for me today to make a difference. Like whatever opportunity shows up, I'm just going to do it. So I wasn't going to think about what I wanted to help, or I'm
not going to go clean the beach today.
I'm not going to clean the beach.
Whatever presents.
Whatever presents itself is what I was going to do. And so I have a meeting out at my North Shore property, and so I drive out there. And then on my way back, I stop at one of my friend's restaurants, check her out, Chazza Cafe, and she's like, we were just talking, he's like, I need some cameras. Like, well, I got some extra cameras, like real nice cameras, like I can give. I thought, opportunity, right? Okay, opportunity, cameras. And as we're standing there, I hear a woman asking for directions because she's lost. And she wants to go somewhere, she's like a tourist or whatever, and I said, opportunity for me to make a difference. Okay, I'll give you a ride. She goes, can I trust you? I'm like, I don't know, ask her. And then my friend's like, oh yeah, I totally trust you, she's cool. Okay, cool. She jumps in a car with me, I drive her and drop her off at Wahiwa. And as I'm driving home, Okay, so a week prior to this, I find out that Waianae Elementary is looking to raise money for a library.
Like a learning center.
Or they have a library, but they want to change it into a learning center, a more interactive learning center.
Like state of the art.
Yeah, more up, yeah. And so as I'm driving home, and I'm thinking of my vision board, my digital vision board, because I just replay it. Sometimes in my office, I just turn it on, I just let it replay.
Oh, so you know exactly what it
Yeah,
looks
so I know
like,
what's going on. I may not look at it all the time, but I can see in my peripheral vision that it's there and it's running. And so I'm looking at it, and in my mind, I see one of the pictures that I put up, which is a sign of Waianae Elementary. As soon as you drive in, there's the sign, it's kind of at an angle. And then the picture that shows up right after that, like literally right after that, is about 30, 40 kids sitting in the library. Right? I'm so moved. As I'm driving, I'm so moved that as I'm thinking of this image, I start crying, and I'm like so emotional, just filled with so much kind of like gratitude and almost feeling like guided.
It was there the whole time.
Yeah, I was there the whole time. Yeah, I felt like guided. It was like, oh wow. And without thinking about it, like I knew I couldn't think about it. Right? Because my thoughts is going to say, wait, no, wait.
Let's think about this.
Yeah, let's think about this. But I felt in my heart and my soul moved by it, and I said, okay. Immediately I pick up the phone and I tell Janice, because Janice is head of Friends of Waianae Committee. Janice is head of the committee of Friends of Waianae Elementary, where the whole object is to raise money for whatever they need. So I let her know, I was like, hey, you know what, I'm going to donate the $100,000 that the school needs for the new learning center.
Just seconds after this popped in your head.
Yeah, just right out, immediately. I didn't even hesitate.
100,000.
100,000. Yeah. And she's like, wow. She's like, oh, that's so amazing. She's like, how do you feel? I was like, I feel like I want to throw up. Like, I feel like I'm giving a liver.
I feel like I want to throw up.
I'm like, oh man, like, the most I've ever given to that point was 5,000, let alone 100. And I'm still wondering how I'm gonna get this money, right? I owe, like my projects now, if I add everything I owe within the next 3 months, it's probably like 5 million. So I got to come up with $5 million in the next 3 months. How am I going to give 100, right? Yeah. For an average working person, it's like just saying, okay, you're paying a mortgage and you got your bills. You're just trying to pay your next month's rent. How are you going to give another 10,000 to somebody or donate? But I knew that it was the right thing to do. Not the right thing to do. That's very cliche. I knew that I felt guided to do it.
Whew. Okay.
And so I took complete faith, and
you committed because you made the call.
I committed. I just committed, right? And now I'm just like, okay, I'll go figure it out. But it was interesting how it happened. So I get home, and I'm on the toilet. That's where the big business happens for me while I'm on the toilet.
Well, you weren't puking though.
No, I wasn't puking.
Okay.
I'm on the toilet, and I'm texting my one of my good friends and my business partner. And I was like, man, I'm about to do something crazy. So he calls me, panicking, like, hey, you okay? Like, thinking, what's going on? And I said, no, it's all good, not like that. I told him what I'm about to do. And he's blown away. He's like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Man, that's amazing. He tells me, you know what's crazy? He's like, what? It's like, I just got off the phone with a lender who's going to refinance our property, because he and I own the North Shore property together. It's a big property, 7 acres, beachfront, beautiful property. And he says, and I just got off the phone, and he said that he's gonna refinance out our property, so we're gonna be able to pull out $1 million.
Cash out $1 million.
Cash out $1 million. He says, I get my 500, you have your 500. There you go. You got your money for.
So the money just appeared all of a sudden.
The money just go, yeah, crazy, right? And I'm crying again. I was like, oh my gosh, how does this happen? Like,
it's like you gave away 100,000, and then like within an hour, $500,000.
$500,000 comes back, right? And yeah, so we're still in the process of doing that right now. I was actually working on that right before coming in over here. We were like scrambling, getting all the paperwork in. The bank is about to, Bank of Hawaii, shout out to you, thank you. Bank of Hawaii is financing a property right now. And yeah, that's kind of what's
amazing.
happening.
That's like giver's gain in like immediate action right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the biggest thing, because I've been thinking about it, like what happens? What? You hear this all the time, like giver's gain, and I thought I was a giver, right? But I realized that we give, at least for me, I speak for myself, I realized that I was giving to the point where I believe I was capable of giving.
not beyond.
Not beyond what my capabilities is.
I think a lot of people, myself included, think, well, okay, what can I give? What can I afford?
What can I give within my possibility of what
so
I'm
still eat
capable?
tomorrow.
Right. But when you start thinking, at least for me, what the transformation has happened for me over the last couple months with this was that.
It's only been a month.
But, oh yeah, a month. Yeah, it was forever. Yeah, it's only been a month. Yeah, you're right. What happened for me is when I start limiting my ability to give, I start limiting my ability to gain.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Right? And so now, how that has changed me is that has taken so much energy off of money for me. Right? It's taken so much energy off of money as it being this measure of what I have and what I don't have, what I'm capable of and incapable of. And it just became a vehicle by which, in my mind, for me, is this less energy, because I always would think about money. Well, I need to get here. I need to get the next level. I need to, first was I need to become a millionaire. I want to make 10 million. I mean, right? It always became that next level, and I didn't realize over time it became my identity. That's part of my limitation. Well, I'm worth this today, so therefore that is who I am. Right? Whether it's I am worth a 10,000, whatever it is, this becomes who I am, and that identity of this money is me held me back for so many years because I had to constantly say, well, only when I get to here, then I can give here. When I can give here, when I can give there. With what just happened, it really took the energy of. I realized I had on money, and now money for me has become more limitless.
Fluid, limitless.
Just more limitless and fluid. There's no limitations on what I can give, just as much as there's no limitations on what I can get.
That's amazing. So what's the next step?
I just say this out loud now, right?
Thank you. That is amazing.
I thought in my head, but now it's come out. I was like, wow, there's some good stuff. I
know. I'm glad we're recording this. Yeah. So what's the next step with Waianae High School? So you've committed to
intermediate?
Yeah.
Right now, the focus is on intermediate. You know what I would love to do, since it's kind of the library, because what I'm learning now is there's been studies that show that when you transform the library in the mainland, from what I heard from the librarian of Waianae, that when you transform the library in a school, that makes the biggest impact in the school and the community.
Well, I mean, the amazing thing, you mentioned that you graduated not even be able to read a book.
Right.
And now you're donating to build a learning center so people can read at a higher level and learn at a higher level.
Yeah. Yes. And so, and what I'm hoping to do is when there's going to be this event, it's going to be like a real big event. A lot of people are going to show up at this thing, and my hope for this event isn't to look at me and isn't for me. My whole goal is that to like we have an experience of already. What I do quite a bit of is just inspiring other people to do it. Right? It's like, okay, yeah, maybe you don't have to give 100,000, but I think if more people in the community just step just a little bit, like just give a little bit. If more people gave a little bit, I think we could make a bigger impact in the community. Because I'm not foolish to think that I'm going to change the Waianae Coast by myself. Like, that's not going to happen.
You're doing a pretty good job so far.
I'm doing a lot. Thank you. I appreciate that. But my hope is to inspire other people, inspire some leaders to step up. Right? Which is why I spend my time a lot, where I try to spend my time a lot with other leaders or potential leaders. That I feel like, okay, I cannot help everybody that wants to meet with me or sit with me and talk to me. I can't do that. I don't have the time.
Lead the leaders.
But if I can lead the leaders, if there's a few people that say, hey, look, Charles, I'm willing to step up. It doesn't have to be in Waianae. It can be wherever you're at. And I give my time to these leaders, more time than I can, so because I know when they grow out, they're going to make a bigger impact.
Yeah. And
so that's my hope, just to inspire more people to make a difference. Obviously in Waianae, so I would like to see the change happen in my lifetime. And of course the rest of Oahu and Hawaii as well.
That's amazing. And I also heard that the building will be named after you. So you're not going to get the building in Kaka'ako, yet you get your building.
Yeah, that's right. It's more meaningful too, actually. I was like, okay, yeah, I don't have a building here, but you know what? Having a building named after me in Waianae Elementary is such an amazing thing. Not for me again, but because it inspired me. I remember walking around and going to Iolani. It was Iolani. You see like the parents teaching. I'm like, who is that? And wow, he's a real estate developer, and he made a difference. I see Harry Jeanette Weinberg, and wow, he's a real estate developer. And my hope is that even when I'm gone, some kid coming out of Waianae or at Waianae Elementary, gonna look and it's like, man, who is this guy?
They're gonna Google
Charles.
you. They're gonna find this video. They're gonna read your
Google,
book.
right? They're gonna reach a book, and it'll inspire these kids to believe that anything is possible, right? Because growing up, I saw drug dealers and chicken fighters, right? And that was my reality. That's what I saw was my way of creating success. But if I can somehow put more options or more realities in front of these kids coming out of Waianae, my hope is that it'll inspire them to know, hey, man, if Charles can do it, I can do it. If I can do it even better.
Well, I feel amazingly inspired in this 45 minutes we talked. And I know you're a really busy man, so I appreciate you taking time to hang out and have a conversation and share your story. And I look forward to, basketball after this and the next time we get together.
Yeah. Same here, man.
All right. Thank you.
All right, welcome.
Appreciate you.
You're
Love
welcome.
you.
Love you too.